If you're someone who struggles to stay motivated when it comes to saving money, then today's video is just what you need. We're going to be building a gamified money savings tracker in Notion that features XP, levels, and rewards. So here is the tracker that we're going to be building in today's video. So I'll just talk you through it firstly, and then I'll be showing you how to build this entire system completely from scratch. So firstly, over here, this is where we have your actual goals. So you can set a goal for whatever you actually want to save money for. So as an example here, I have a new iPhone as a goal. And then just underneath, it will show you how much you've currently saved out of the total goal. It will tell you how much you have to go, and it will give you a little motivational message to tell you to keep going. So you can add as many of these as you like to the tracker, as you can see. Then over here, we actually have the gamification system, which features rewards and XP. So every time you save some money towards one of your goals, you'll receive XP, and that will be added up here, as you can see, to display your total XP. And then your current level will display here. Now I do have a ton of different levels. This one is novice, but inside the formula, let me just show you quickly. These are all of the different levels that we have, and you can add as many of them as you like. Then we have the reward system, which is this part here. So as you can see, the reward currently says that I've saved over $500, so it's telling me to get myself a treat from the shop. And there are various different rewards that I've built into the system, but you can customize this as much as you like, and I will show you how to do that throughout the video. Now just below, we also have the log. So this is where you're actually going to log the amount that you're saving. So you'll simply just add a new entry every time that you save some money towards one of these goals. You'll select which goal it's for, the date, and this XP property will automatically be worked out for you. So this will say how much XP you receive for saving this amount, and this XP will then be added to your total XP, and you'll watch your current level increase as you go. So this is totally automatic. The only thing that you need to do is simply add in your goals and set the goal amount. And then you just add the amount that you've saved each month to the log, and the template will simply do the rest. So it will work all of these numbers here out for you. It will work out your current level, your total XP, and it will also display your current reward. So that is the template. So in the rest of the video, I will be showing you how to build this system completely from scratch. And before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more Notion gamification videos. So I'm starting off with a brand new blank page. All I've done is named this page Money Savings Tracker. I've chosen this emoji and just a plain cover photo. That's all we've done so far. So to get started, the first thing we want to do is add a new database. So I'm going to type /database and select the database inline option to add a new database. So this one is going to be our goals database. So I'm just going to name it goals. Now I am going to hide the name of the title because I think it looks a little bit cleaner without. So I'm going to click on the three dots and just click hide database title. Let's start by just adding in a few example goals. You can add more later. So to do that, we're going to just click on this new page button and start with our first goal. So let's say you want to save for a new iPhone, and I'm just going to add a couple more. So these are just some examples of some things that you might be saving for. The next step is completely optional, but I'm going to choose a unique icon for each of the different goals, but you can leave these blank if you're not too bothered about having an icon. If you do want to add an icon, then if you just hover next to it and click on these 6 dots here, you can select edit icon. Then you can either select an emoji, or you can select from Notion's icon library, which is what I'm going to do because I think it looks a little bit neater. And I'm going to select this smartphone icon, as you can see, and I'm just going to select a different one for each of the different goals. So this is now what it will look like. So next I want to be able to select a money goal amount for each of these different items. So to do that, we're going to add a number property. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol here and type in number and select this number property here. And let's just call this one goal amount. So the first thing we want to do is actually change the number format. So rather than it displaying just as a number, we actually want it to display as a currency. So you can select from the list here. There's US dollar, Canadian dollar, and so on. I'm just going to use US dollar as an example for the video. And then when we click on this box, we can input the goal amount. So for example, let's say this is $1,200. And when you hit enter, it's going to automatically add the $sign for you. So you just type in the number rather than having to put in the currency as well. Just before we jump back to the tutorial, I want to let you know about my second brain template. This powerful productivity system is the best way to organize your tasks, notes, projects, and goals, and is based on productivity methods that actually work. Hundreds of people have already purchased the template and are now more productive than ever. It also has tons of 5-star reviews from people that have used it. I'll leave a link in the description box below if you're interested. That's all, back to the tutorial. So next we actually want to be able to log how much we've saved towards each goal. So we need to set up another database, which is going to be our log. So just beneath, I'm going to type in /database and select database inline, and let's name this one log. Again, I am going to click on the 3 dots and hide the title. So let's start by adding an example entry. So I'm just going to click on new page and let's just call it new entry like this. And the first property that I want to add is going to be a number property so that I can log how much money I've saved for this particular entry. So we're going to click on here to add another property, and it's going to be a number property. And let's just call this one amount. You then just want to click on number format and select the same currency that you selected in the first database. So I'm going with US dollar again. And in here, we can put how much we actually want to save towards one of these goals. So let's say we're saving towards my new iPhone and I've saved $100 in this entry. Next, we want to add a date property so that we can see what date it was that we saved this amount. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol, type in date and select the date property. You can leave these settings as they are, and let's just click on here and add today's date in here as the date. Next, I actually want to be able to select for each entry that I add into our log which goal this amount is for. So to do that, we need to connect the databases together, and we can actually do that using a relation property. So I'm going to click again on the plus symbol, type in relation and select this relation property here. So the first thing it's going to ask is which database you want to relate to. So we're currently in our log database, so I want to connect to the goals database. So I'm going to select goals. You can leave these settings as they are, but I do want to switch on the two-way relation so that it displays on both of the databases, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So once you've done that, click add relation. So now what you'll see is 2 new columns have appeared, one on each database. So this is showing that we've correctly connected them together. So on this database here on our log, if I now click on this box, it's going to bring up all of the pages that are in our goals database. So I can select which page is appropriate for this one. So let's say this was for our new iPhone. So when I click on that, it's going to now display in this box. And if you then look up here on the goals database, next to new iPhone, it's showing that new entry here. So it is correctly connecting the two together. Now we do want this to be working in the background, but we don't actually need to see it on our database. So I'm just going to click on here and hide it in this view, but it is still there working in the background, which is really important. I'm just going to quickly change the name. Instead of goals on here, let's just change it to goal, because this entry is only going to be for one of the goals. If you also remember in the example, each time that you save an amount of money, you're going to get XP, which is going to be added up, and that's going to contribute to the level that you currently have. So we're going to set up the gamification later, but I do want to add the XP property on here right now. So that is using a formula. So the XP is going to be based on the amount that you've saved. So if we click on here, we're going to add a formula property to work out the XP. So select formula, and this one we can just call XP. Then I'm going to click edit formula, and that's going to bring up this panel here where we can edit the formula. So I wanted to keep the XP really simple. So we're simply just going to take the amount that we saved. So if you look here in the sidebar, you'll see all of the properties in the table. So we're going to grab the amount property here, and we're simply just going to divide it by 100. So if you use the / symbol like this, that is going to indicate you want to divide, and just type in 100. So that's the formula. It's simply just the amount divided by 100. So if I click save, you want to leave the number format here as a number, because in this case we want a number rather than a currency. And let's just make that a little bit smaller. So as you can see, this one is simply doing 100, which is the amount, divided by 100, which is why the XP is 1. So your XP is going to add up over time, and you can then use the XP to progress through a leveling system, which we're going to set up a little bit later. Now on our log, I don't want to have to write out the words new entry every single time I add a new entry. So we are going to automate that by adding a default template to this database. So to do that, we're going to click on this little downward arrow here and select new template, and I'm going to name it new entry so that this is auto populated. And let's also add an icon as well to make it look a little bit nicer. I'm going to go to the icon library, and let's go with this little up arrow to show that you're going up in your savings. So that's all we're going to do for now. So I'm just going to click back to the main page, and again click on this down arrow, and next to that new entry template, I'm going to click on the 3 dots and just set it as default, and you want to select for all views in log, and that just means that it's now default. So when I add a new page, as you can see, the name and icon is added for me by default. So I've just added added a few more entries as an example. So now that we've got our log, going back to our goals database, I actually want to see the total amount that has been saved for each of the different goals. So we've got our goal amount, but how much have we currently saved based on our log entries? So we can use a rollup property to do that. And what rollups do is they essentially grab data from other databases. So we can add it to this database and ask it to grab the amounts here and pull them through into this database so that we can have a total. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to click on the plus symbol here and type in rollup and select this rollup property here. And let's name this total saved. So firstly, we need to select the relation. So with rollup properties, you do need to have a relation property set up between the two databases, which we did already do. If you remember, that was this goal property here. So if I click on relation, it's going to allow me to select our log database. Now it's going to ask me which property in our log database do I want to grab. So if I click on here, we can select any of the properties. So we want to go with the amount property, and then it will ask you what you want to calculate. So I actually want to add the amounts together to get a total. So if I click on calculate, you'll find sum under more options, and we're going to select sum. So as you can see, it's adding those together. So as an example, for the new iPhone, we had two entries down here. We had 100 and 150, and as you can see, the total up here is 250. So it is calculating that correctly. So now up here on our goals database, I want to create a property that is going to show our progress. So if you remember from the example, it would tell you how much you've saved out of the total amount, and it will also display how much money is left to go. So we're going to set up that property now, and that is of course a formula property. So we're going to click on this plus button here to add a new property and just type in formula and grab the formula option. And I'm just going to name this progress. Then we're going to click edit formula to bring up the formula panel. So firstly, within the formula, I wanted to say you've currently saved and then the amount that we've currently saved. So to do that, we're going to add two quotation marks like this, and inside we're simply going to type the words that we want it to say, which is you've currently saved. And we also want to include a space after the word saved, otherwise there isn't going to be a space between the words and the number. Next, we actually want it to pull through this number here. So I'm going to add a plus symbol, and then we're going to pull through this total saved property, which as you can see is the total we've currently saved. So it'll say you've currently saved, and it will pull through this property. The only problem with this is that unfortunately within Notion formulas, it will not pull through the formatting. So we've set this to US dollar, but unfortunately it will not pull that through. It will just pull it through as a number. So if I just click save for a second, as you can see, it's just pulling through the number and not the dollar sign. So we are going to manually add that in. So let me just go back to edit formula. So just before the total saved, we're going to add in two quotation marks, and in here I'm going to add a dollar symbol. Now you can obviously replace this with whatever your currency is. So if you want to use British pound, you can do that like this as well. So just add whatever the currency is in here. Another plus symbol. So it will say you've currently saved. It will show a dollar sign, the amount you've saved, another plus symbol. After that, we want it to say the words out of. So I'm going to write inside two quotation marks out of. Make sure to add a space at the end and at the start, so we have a space between the numbers and the words. Another plus symbol. Again, we need to do that dollar trick because we're going to put in the goal amount here. So we're going to do two quotation marks, and inside I'm going to add a dollar symbol. Again, remember to replace this with whatever your currency is, a plus symbol, and then we want to display the goal amount, which is this property. So this will say you've currently saved. It will show this property here, out of, and it will show the goal amount here. Now, after that, I want it to show how much we have to go, so how much money is left towards hitting our goal. So we're going to add another plus symbol, and let's actually just go to the next line to make it a little easier to see. So if you want to go to the next line, if you hold down shift on your keyboard and hit enter, you will go to the next line. So next, I want you to say how much is left to go. So we're going to write the words again inside quotation marks, only, with a space, a plus symbol. Again, we need that dollar sign so that we can display it within our currency. So I'm going to add a dollar symbol, another plus symbol. And now, as I said, I actually want the amount to go. So we would actually want to do a calculation here. We want to do the goal amount minus the total currently saved, and that is going to give us the amount that is left to go. So to do that, we can actually just add that calculation into here. So I'm going to put two parentheses like this so it's contained within them, and we're simply going to do our goal amount minus our total saved, and that is going to be calculated inside of here, and it'll display the amount here. Then afterwards we're going to do a plus symbol, and I want it to say to go, so it'll say only however many dollars to go. So two quotation marks here, and inside the words to go, let's put an exclamation mark, and also you need to remember to put a space here at the start. Then finally, I think it would be nice if we had a little motivational message at the end. So I'm going to add another plus symbol, and let's go to the next line for this next piece of text. So shift and enter to go to the next line. And again, inside 2 quotation marks, let's say keep going, exclamation mark, and I'm also going to put a little emoji in here as well. Let's go with this running person. So that is the message. So we are going to add some styling to this in a moment to make it look a little bit nicer, but let's just click save at this point so I can show you what it currently looks like. So as you can see in here, this is what we currently have. So it will say you've currently saved $250 out of $1,200, only $950 to go, keep going. So as you can see, that calculation has definitely been worked out for us. It's doing the goal amount minus the total saved. The only thing is that it would be nice if these were showing on different lines because they're all kind of clumping together at the moment, and it would be nice to add some styling, like different colors and styles, so that it stands out a little bit better. So that's what we're going to work on now. So let's click back on edit formula to make this look a little bit nicer. So let's start by actually placing each of these sentences on a different line within the output. So to do that, what we can actually add is right here. So after this plus symbol here following the goal amount, I'm going to add 2 quotation marks, and inside I'm going to do a backward slash and an N. Now what this does in Notion is it actually means go to the next line. So you need to add another plus symbol at the end. So if I click save at this point, as you can see, this has now been moved to the next line. Now personally, I think it would look nicer as well if we actually had an extra space in between. So if we edit the formula again and add another one afterwards, so again, I'm going to do the same thing, backward slash N. It's spilled over now onto this line, but that's okay. And another plus symbol. So as you can see, I've just written this twice. So we've added the backward slash N, then we've added another backward slash N. And if I click save now, as you can see, there is actually a gap between the 2 lines. So I want to do that again between this only 950 to go and keep going. So let's just edit the formula, and I'm actually just gonna copy this here and just paste it in here. So after to go, we already have the plus symbol, so I'm just gonna paste it in. So it says to go, then we've got 1 N, 2 N's, and that's gonna give us 2 line breaks in between. Click save, and as you can see, they're now each on individual lines, which I think looks a lot better. Next, I want to change the colors of the text to make them stand out more. So again, let's edit the formula. So the first thing I want to do is this number here where it says total saved, and this number here, goal amount. So that's this number and this number. I want them to stand out a little bit more so they look different to the rest of the text, so it's easy to see them. So I'm going to add code styling, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So firstly, I actually want to group the currency symbol and the number together. So to do that, I'm simply just going to add parentheses around it. So I'm going to add 1 parentheses here and 1 here, and then we're going to add styling to this whole piece here by adding dot style just after the parentheses. I'm going to open and close parentheses, and inside I'm going to do 2 quotation marks and a C like this. So make sure it looks exactly like this. So this is adding code styling to this piece here. So I'm going to do the exact same to this goal amount. So firstly, I need to group the currency symbol with the goal amount by adding a parentheses either side. Sometimes it does spill over onto the next line, as you can see. And then I'm just going to copy this piece here and just add it after this parentheses. So we've added code styling to this as well. So when I click save, as you can see, it's just changed the style. So this is what code styling looks like. It changes the text color to red and adds this gray background. So I think that looks a lot better because it really makes the numbers here stand out. But I actually want the entire thing, all of this, to be bold as well, again, so it stands out a bit more. So let me click on it again. So now what I want to do is group this entire sentence together. So I'm going to add a parentheses right at the start, and I'm going to add one here right at the end after the code styling. So that is essentially just grouped this entire thing as one piece. And now I can add the styling to this entire thing to bold all of that text. So we're going to do dot style, open and close parentheses, and inside we're going to do 2 quotation marks, and this time we're going to do a B, and that stands for bold. So as you can see, it's showing me a preview of what that would look like here. So it's just bolding the entire text in this output. So let's click save, and that's what that will look like. Now for the next line, which says only 950 to go, I also want to make that bold, but in this case, let's make the text a purple color. So again, the first thing I want to do is group together all of the different elements of this sentence. So we're going to start at only. So I'm going to do one parentheses here, and we're going to close it here after this to go. And then I can add styling to this entire piece, which is what makes up this little sentence here. So after that parentheses, we're going to do dot style, open and close parentheses, and inside we're going to do B inside 2 quotation marks, which will bold the text, a comma, then 2 more quotation marks, and I'm just going to write the word purple, and that's going to indicate we want purple text. So as you can see, it's giving me a preview here of what that will look like. Finally, I want to add some styling to the keep going at the end. So as this one is just one piece already, I don't need to group it together with anything. So we're just going to add dot style here, open and close parentheses, and firstly let's bold it by doing a B like this, comma. I think we're going to also add the code styling by doing the C, comma, and finally I actually want to change the text color to blue, so I'm going to add blue as well. So this is what it looks like, and as you can see, this is a preview of how that would look. So it adds the code styling, which colors the text and gives it the gray background, but then I've told it I actually want blue text, and it's also been bolded. So if I click save, this is now what it looks like. There is only one other thing that I actually want to add to this. So this output is perfect, but one thing that you'll notice is that once we have completed our goal, so say this total save now says 1,200, I actually would like this message to completely change and just tell me that I've completed the goal, rather than telling me to keep going and that I've only got $0 to go. I think that wouldn't make sense. So I want to add an if statement to say if our total saved is equal to our goal amount, then let's display something different. So let's just go back into the formula, and right at the start I'm going to place my cursor here, do shift and enter, and we've now got a brand new line at the top. So we're going to add an if statement, so that just allows you to put in different outputs depending on if something is true or not. So we're going to write the word if like this, open a parentheses, and then I need to tell the formula what condition I want to check. So I want to check if our total saved here is equal to our goal amount, because if it is, that means I've hit the goal, whereas if it isn't, that means I've not hit the goal, and we can display this output that we've already inputted. So let's write if, and then we're going to grab our total saved, and we're going to say if that is greater or equal to. Now I'm using this rather than just equal to because you might actually end up over saving, so I want to catch that if it is true. So we're going to say if the total saved is either more than or equal to our goal amount. So just grab that here from the sidebar. We're going to add a comma, and then I can input what I want the formula to display if this condition is true. So if it's true, that means we've completed the goal. So let's write a different message inside 2 quotation marks here. So let's say congrats, you've hit your goal, and let's add a little celebration emoji in here as well. Let's also add some styling to this piece of text. So let's do dot style, open and close parentheses, and let's just make the text bold. So we do the 2 quotation marks with the B, a comma, and I'm going to add the word green inside 2 quotation marks, which is going to make the text a green color. You just need to add one more comma here at the end. So now what we have is we're saying if the total saved is more than or equal to the goal amount, which means we've completed our goal, we're going to display this message, congrats, you've hit your goal. Then after this comma, the formula will allow you to add an otherwise. So if this isn't true, what should we do? And in that case, we're going to display the rest of the message, which is what we've been coding this entire time, which is this. Finally, I just need to add one more parentheses at the end, and that's just to close off this if statement that we began up here. And at this point, I'm now going to click save because our formula is complete. So as you can see, it's displaying this for all of them because none of them are complete, but let me just change one of these. So let's just change this one, for example, if I just update this. So I've just changed one of the amounts in the log. So as you can see in this one here, the goal amount is equal to the total saved, and it now displays the message, congrats, you've hit your goal. So at this point, I want to change how this database looks. I would rather it be a gallery view. So we're going to change the layout by clicking on the 3 dots here, selecting layout, and we're going to click on a gallery view. So firstly, I want to get rid of all this blank space here. So I'm going to click on card preview and set it to none so that we don't have any blank space. Then we're going to click this back symbol and select properties, and we want to show that progress formula that we've been coding. So I'm going to click on this symbol here, which as you can see is going to show it on the card. So this is what our goal cards now look like. So that is the basic money savings tracker all set up. Next, we're going to work on adding our rewards and our XP, which is the main gamification part of the tracker. So I'm actually going to add that right at the top. So let me just make a little space here, and we're going to add a new database. So type /database and select database in line, and let's just name this rewards/XP. Again, I'm going to click on the 3 dots to hide the title. So we only need one row in this database, so I'm just going to click on new page and we're just going to name it rewards. Now the first thing that we need to do is we need to connect our rewards database to our log so that we can work out what the reward is going to be based on the amounts that we've saved. So to do that, we're going to use a relation property just like we did earlier. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol, type in relation and select this property. We're in the rewards/XP database and I want to connect to our log database. So that's what we're going to select. So you can leave these settings as they are, but we do want to switch on this two-way relation, and I'm just going to click add relation. So again, you should see that a new column appears on each of the databases. Now, the main thing that we need to ensure is that anytime you add a new entry, it is related to this rewards page here in our rewards database. So to do that, in the new column here that is generated in the log database, you want to click on here and just connect it to that specific page. And I'm just going to drag that down to all of them. Now we can automate this so you don't have to do it every single time. This is simply just something that needs to work in the background. So to do that, we're going to click on this downward arrow, and if you remember, we set up this default template earlier, so I'm going to click on the 3 dots and select edit, and we're simply just going to click on this rewards XP relation property and connect it to the rewards page. Now you don't even need to see this as long as it's there, so if you want, you can also click on here and set the property visibility to always hide so you don't even see the property, and you can also hide it on here. But every single time that you add a new entry, those two pages are going to be connected together, and all of the entries, as you can see, are going to be connected to this rewards page. So now we're going to build our rewards property, which is going to tell you what your reward is based on the amount that you've saved overall. So that is going to be a formula property. So in our rewards database, I'm going to click on the plus symbol, type in formula and grab this formula property, and let's just call it reward. Then we're going to click edit formula to bring up our panel. So the first thing that we need to know inside our formula is the total amount that we've saved. So it doesn't matter which goal we're referring to, we just want to see how much money we've saved in total to let us know what our reward should be. So I need to be able to have that data inside this formula. So firstly, I need to access the entries that we have in the log. So I'm going to grab this log relation here and pull that into the formula. Then we're going to use the map function. So I'm going to type .map and open a parentheses, and what the map function does is it allows us to access the data within our log database. So we've got our log and we're mapping it. Then you'll see these two options here, current or index. So the one we're going to select is current because we want to actually grab the values inside the database, whereas index is going to return the index of the item. So it's essentially just going to return a number like 1, 2, 3, whereas I don't want the index number, I actually want the current, the actual data. So we're going to select current, you're going to type a dot, and then as you'll see, the properties from our log database suddenly appear, and that's because we are mapping the log database, which essentially just means we're accessing the data within our log database. So I can just pull that through into our rewards database. So the data that I want to grab is going to be the amount, because as I said, we want to see the total amount saved. So we're going to grab the amount, we're going to close the parentheses, and what that is going to do is simply just pull through all of the amounts from our log. So if I just click save, as you can see, it's just pulling through all of the amounts from this property here into a list. But I actually don't want to see them in a list. I would like them all to be added together to give me a total. So we can simply just apply the sum function to the end. So if you type .sum, open and close parentheses, as you can see, that is going to add them together to give a total. So we're going to be referencing this number a lot throughout the formula. So I actually would find it more useful if we could turn this into a variable, which essentially just means we're going to give it a little code name that I can reference throughout the formula rather than having to type this out every time. So what we're going to do is place our cursor right at the start, and you're going to write the word let and open parentheses. Now I can write my little code name, so let's just call it total saved like this, and I'm going to add a comma. So what this is saying is let the word total saved mean this. So then I'm going to add a comma, and then I'm going to do shift and enter to go to the next line, and now we can write the rest of the formula, and we can just reference this little code whenever we want to grab this piece of code which works out the total amount currently saved. So I want us to have a different reward every time we hit a new savings goal. So we're going to have an if statement in here to check if, for example, you've saved more than $100, you can have one reward. If you've saved more than $250, you can have a different reward, and so on. So we're going to write multiple if statements. So to do that, we're going to write ifs, and the reason it's ifs is because they're going to be multiple statements. If you just write if, it's only going to allow you to add one statement. So we're going to do ifs open a parentheses. So firstly, let's do the total saved. So I'm pulling through this piece of code to grab this total saved number, and we're going to check if that's less than 100. So that means we've saved less than $100 in total. So add a comma, and then we can write what we want the formula to display. So if I've saved less than $100, I don't think I deserve a reward yet. So we're going to put keep saving to get a reward. I also think it would be nice if this displayed in red. So right at the end, we're going to do that dot style like we did earlier, open and close parentheses, and let's just write in here I want the text to be red. So make sure you place it inside these quotation marks. We're going to add a comma, and I'm going to do shift and enter to go to the next line so we can add in our next statement. So we're again going to pull through total saved, and this time I want to check if it's less than or equal to 249. So that means that it's either 249 or less. Now because we've already got this less than 100 here, if it's less than 100 it will pull through this. If it's less than 249 but not less than 100, it will pull through whatever we write here after our comma. So inside two quotation marks, we're going to write congrats, exclamation, and let's say you've saved over $100. Let's make the color of this green, so I'm going to do dot style, open and close parentheses, and we're going to put in green inside the two quotation marks. Then I actually want it to go to the next line before we say what the reward is. So if you remember, we're going to do a plus symbol, and inside two quotation marks we're going to do that \n, which indicates to go to the next line. And similarly as I did earlier, I'm actually going to put two of those in so that it skips a line as well, and another plus symbol. So inside two quotation marks you're going to write whatever the reward is. So let's just say treat yourself to a coffee, and it's okay if it spills over the line as you can see, and you can also add in an emoji here if it makes sense. So these rewards are completely up to you. If you can't think of any ideas, then I'd recommend asking ChatGPT for some ideas, or just pick some things that would actually motivate you to save money, things that you really enjoy doing. The key thing to note with these rewards is that you are trying to save money, so ideally they should be things that either don't cost anything or don't cost very much. If it's going to be buying a really fancy expensive item, then it's probably counterintuitive, it's going against what you're trying to do here. So just try and bear that in mind when you're picking your rewards. Then we're going to add a comma, and I'm going to do shift and enter to go to the next line. So again we're going to do total saved, and this time we're going to check if it's less than or equal to $499. So if it's 250, it will fall into this category. If it's anything less than 500, then it will fall into the next one. So I'm going to do a comma, and again we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm actually going to just copy and paste all of this up to here, and we can actually just change this here. So this one is going to be you've saved over $250. We're going to keep that green style, and then afterwards it's going to skip two lines, and then here inside two quotation marks we can add in our reward for once you've saved over $250 but less than $500. So let's put buy a book or a small item you've wanted, and again I'm going to add in a little emoji as well and a comma, and you can simply keep doing this for as long as you want. So add in as many rewards in here as you want. So I'm just going to add in another one. I'm actually just going to copy this entire thing to save a little bit of time, shift and enter. So I'm going to change this to 999 so that it's anything under 1,000. Change this till you've saved over $500, and let's just change the reward. So feel free to add as many of these as you want. For the sake of the video I'm going to leave it there, but you can add obviously as many as you want, going up to whatever amount you want. So for the last item in the list you don't need the comma at the end, so that's why I'm not adding a comma on this last one. So the final thing I need to do is just close off our let and our ifs function, so I'm going to add two parentheses to do that. And finally, as you can see, this is what the output looks like. So I actually want to make the output for anything throughout this entire thing a bolded text version, so we're going to add the dot style right to the end, which is going to apply it to the entire thing. Inside the parentheses we're going to do the quotation marks and just put B, so that's going to, as you can see, just bold whatever the output is. So we're going to click save. So currently with the amounts that I've added into the log, we've saved over $500, but we've not hit the next goal, which was 1,000. So it's telling me that I can get myself a treat from the shop. So this obviously will update automatically whenever you add a new entry. It will check if you've hit the next goal amount and display your treat here. So that is the reward system. So next we are going to add the XP and the leveling system. So that is going to be another formula property within this database. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol and type in formula, and let's just name it XP and click edit formula to actually write our formula. So the one piece of data that we're going to need to make this work is we need to be able to calculate our total XP, and then we can use that number to check what level we are currently at. So we're going to do a similar thing that we did in the reward database, where we're going to create a variable that grabs the total XP from the log. So the first thing we want to do is access our log database. So we're going to grab that here by inputting the relation property, and we're going to again do the .map function to access the properties within it. So I'm going to open a parentheses. We want to access the current actual values within that database. So I'm going to select current and put a dot, and then it's going to bring up the different properties within the log. So as I said, this is going to be the XP. So we're going to grab that XP number. We're going to close the parentheses, and again, this is actually just going to pull through a long list of all of the different XPs, but I want to add them together. So inside the formula, we're going to do .sum, open and close parentheses, which is going to add them all together to create a total. So as I said, we want to turn this into a variable, which is where we give it a little code phrase that we can reference. So at the start, we're going to once again do that let function, open parentheses, and let's just call it total XP. I'm going to add a comma and a space. So this is saying let the words total XP mean this, and this is going to access our log and add up the total XP. So we're going to add a comma at the end, and I'm going to do shift and enter to go to the next line. So firstly, I want it to actually display our total XP. So inside two quotation marks, let's just write the words total XP as a label, and I'm going to do a colon as well, like this. I also think it would be nice if we had a little emoji in here. So let's go on the emoji and let's go with this star. And I'm also just going to add a space in between the star and the words. Let's add a little bit of styling to this piece of text. So we're going to do .style, open and close parentheses. I think we're going to go with code styling. So you just want to do this C inside the two quotation marks, a comma, and let's also give it a purple background this time. So to add a different background color to the code styling, you want to write the color name, underscore, and then the word background. So that's just going to change the background color to purple. So it looks a little bit like this, where the background is normally gray, but now it's going to be purple. We're then going to add a plus symbol. So after the label, which says total XP, I want it to pull through the actual total XP. So I can use this little code phrase that we set up to do that. So I'm just going to copy and paste it here. So it will just pull through whatever that number is here next to our label. Now, after the number, I actually want it to also just display the word XP. So we're going to do another plus symbol, and inside two quotation marks, we're going to do space and then XP. Now after this, I want it to display our current level, but I want there to be a line skip in between. So if you remember to do line skips, we're going to do a plus symbol, and inside two quotation marks, we're going to do a backward slash and an N, and I want to add that twice so that we have a actual gap in between. So that's why we're adding two of them, and then another plus symbol. So then on the next line, so I'm going to do shift and enter, we want to write the words current level, and then it's going to display whatever our current level is. So first, let's add that label that says current level. So inside two quotation marks, I'm going to write current level and a colon. Let's give this label some styling. So we're going to do .style, open and close parentheses. Let's firstly make it bold by doing the B inside two quotation marks, a comma, and let's underline it as well. So to underline, you're going to do a U inside the two quotation marks. Now I also want there to be a space between the label and the name of the level. Now the reason I'm not just adding the space in here like we normally do is because we've underlined this piece of text. So if I add the space, it's also going to underline the space, which I don't want. I want the space just to be a normal space. So we're not going to add it there. We're actually just going to add it as a separate piece after this. So I'm just going to do a plus symbol, two quotation marks, and I'm just going to add a space in between there. I do think we're going to add two spaces just to give it a little bit more of a gap, and then we're going to add one more plus symbol. Now we get to work on the actual leveling system. So after it says current level, what it needs to do is reference the total XP, and depending on the number, it's going to display whatever your level is. So we're going to do shift and enter to go to the next line, and just like we did in the reward database, we're going to use if statements to check if the total XP is either more or less than a certain number. So we're going to add many if statements in here, so that's why I'm going to use ifs, so we can add multiple if statements, and we're going to open a parentheses. So the first one is we want to check if this total XP, so I'm just going to copy and paste the code name here. We want to check if it's less than or equal to 100. I'm going to add a comma, and then I can actually write the name of the level. So inside 2 quotation marks, let's just call this level novice. And then I'm going to add a comma. So that is going to be the name of the first level. You can completely customize this. You can change the numbers of when you hit different levels, and feel free to change the name of the levels. These are just the names that I've come up with. I'm then going to do Shift and Enter to go to the next line. And now we're going to check if the total XP is less than or equal to 200. Add a comma, and now inside 2 quotation marks, let's put the next level, which is going to be penny pincher, a comma, and you can just keep doing the exact same thing. So just keep copying this line, pasting it below. Let's change the number to 300 and change the name of the level. So I'm just going to keep doing the exact same thing until we get to 900. So as you can see, I've added in various different levels. So once you hit the next number, it will come up with the next level. You can also add emojis in here if you like, but this is what I've come up with. I use ChatGPT to help me come up with some level names. So if you want to come up with your own, you can ask ChatGPT to help if you like. So when you want to add the last level, you actually don't need to write the little statement here. You can just add it kind of as a catch-all that if none of these are true, then the final one will apply. So if we're anything more than 900, we're going to do Shift and Enter, and inside 2 quotation marks, we're going to put the final level as financial legend. You can obviously add more if you want. You can add as many as you like. If you get to the end and feel like you want more levels, then feel free to add more. We're then going to add a parentheses to close off our if statement. And now I'm going to add some styling to all of the level names. So because we've got these wrapped inside parentheses, if I add a dot style here, it's going to add it to all of the outputs for the if statements. So we're going to add 2 parentheses, and for the styling, let's first do code styling with the C, a comma, and let's also make it blue. So the text will also be blue. We need to add 1 more parentheses at the end to close off the let. And the final thing I'm going to do is I always want any of the output for anything to be bold. So we're just going to add 1 final dot style at the end, and inside just do the B like this to make sure that anything that is outputted is going to be bold. And then I'm going to click save, and as you can see, this is what it looks like. If there's anything not looking how you want it to, you can always go back in and change it. So for example, I feel like it would be nice to have a little space here between the total XP and the XP. So I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to add a space here. So I'm going to do another plus symbol, 2 quotation marks, and just a space in between. Click save, and as you can see, a space has appeared there. So now what we need to do is change the layout of this to a gallery view, so it actually looks like a card and it displays these things. So we're going to click on the 3 dots here, select layout, and change it to a gallery. I'm going to change the card preview to none to get rid of that space, and if we click back, we can click on properties, and let's show the XP formula and then underneath the reward formula. So this is what it looks like. So the one thing I'm noticing is that it would be nice if we actually had a gap in between the level and this one. So I'm going to click on this one to add in some more spacing. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this \n and a plus symbol. So I'm just going to copy it from over here, and we want to place that right at the start before the message. So this was the first option, so I'm going to place it there and just add a space. So essentially this is going to add a space, a spare line, and then we're going to display the message. So I actually need to add that for each of the different output options. So we're going to add it in here before this congrats, here before this one, and here before this one. If you have any more, just make sure you add this in before congrats to display a space. If I click save, as you can see, that's now added a space at the start, so it just looks a little bit nicer on the card. At this point, I'm going to change the names of the tabs to indicate what the different databases contain. So let's start with this one. So we're going to click on here, select rename, and this one we're going to call rewards and XP. And you can also change the icon on here. Let's change it to this star here. This one we're going to click on and rename this one as goals, and let's change the icon to this target icon. And finally, this one is going to be the log, so I'm going to rename it log, and we'll change the icon to this pen. Then I want to add 2 columns so that we can place these 2 side by side, because I think that would look a little bit better. So right at the top, we're going to type /2C and grab this 2 columns block. I'm going to grab the rewards one and place it here in the first column. So if you look out for the blue line, you'll see where you're placing it. And let's put goals in the second column here. So this is what that looks like. As you can see, there is quite a big gap here. So in my example, I actually added in a GIF. You could add in just a photo if you like, or an alternate GIF. So this is the GIF that I'm going to use. So this is available on giphy.com. They have tons of other GIFs on here that you can pick from. I'll leave a link to this one in the description if you want to use this one. So on the GIF, you'll want to just click share, copy GIF link, and then back over in Notion, we're simply just going to paste that link in underneath the rewards database and click embed image. And this is what that will look like. So that is our money savings tracker all complete. Whenever you want to add a new goal, you can simply just click on this plus symbol here on the goals database, or you can click on add new page. Just write in the name of the goal and input the goal amount, and this will automatically update for you. That will then display here, as you can see. Let me just delete that for now. Then whenever you want to add a new entry, you'll just click on the log to add a new entry, input the amount, the date, and whichever goal it's for. The template will then calculate your XP. It will add that to the total XP here, and you can watch your level increase as you go, and you can see whatever your reward currently is. So that is the money savings tracker all complete. If you want to be even more productive, then make sure you check out my Second Brain template, which is an advanced productivity system. It has tons of 5-star reviews from people that have used it. You can grab this template over on my store. I'll leave a link in the description box below.